final speaker tonight is the novelist Colm Tóibín, who is the author of 10 novels, including The Master, winner of the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, Brooklyn, which I'm sure you've all have read, winner of the Costa Book Award, The Testament of Mary, and most recently The Magician, which just came out a few months ago. He has been shortlisted for the Booker Prize no less than 3 times, and we're delighted to have him here tonight. So please welcome Colm.
This is Poetry Month, so I prepared this book of poems. I mean, I know that you didn't come here to hear poems, and no, you didn't. You didn't. Not the one I'm going to read because it's really long. And but this is my first book of poetry. It's called Vinegar Hill. So I'll be 67 next month. So I'll be the oldest, youngest, oldest first poet in recorded history. This is actually a true story. For once, when you write novels, you sort of tell lies all the time. But in this poem, I promise you, every single thing in this poem happened. It's called In the White House. Some guests pushed other guests so they could get a better view of the Obamas and Joe Biden. At one moment, a group decided to move right up to the front, getting their colleagues to behave like security guards, creating a safe corridor. The place was packed with Irish Americans in suits. I saw Gabriel burn. Obama and Biden had a boyish way of telling each other jokes, while Michelle Obama stood apart, unamused. The White House decor was fussy, with too many different textures in the wallpaper, carpets, and coverings. And the paintings were bad. At one moment, Obama was close to us, but then someone got in the way. He was about to depart when luckily Joe Hassett politely called him back and brought me and Gary Hines towards him. Obama's hand was soft when I briefly shook it. We were ushered then into a large, long room, and this is the part that remains most memorable. They left us to enjoy our drinks for a while, and then they decided it was time for us all to go. But they made no announcement. Instead, the staff stood in a line at the back of the room and moved one step at a time towards us, letting no one get behind them. They did this nonchalantly, casually. It was gradual, but it was also firm. We were so high on our brush with fame, however, we hardly noticed, until when they were a third of the way towards the exit and we realized they meant business. We would have to go. Was this a trick of Nixon's? Was this conjured up by Barbara Bush? Was it a Jackie special? Was it put in place by the Clintons? Was it an Obama original? Anyway, it was clear that the Céad Míle Fáilte and the dear little shamrock meant less than nothing now. And once the staff had hit halfway, it would not be long before we were all outside the door. Inside, with us gone, Obama would make decisions. Outside, we, the disenchanted Irish, hailed taxis unavailing. We'd expected to learn something in that house about power and politics. Instead, we witnessed what it is like to wear your welcome out. It does seem tempting, even still, to imagine the line of waiters as a metaphor for something, for soft power, soft coercion, for how to take a firm stance on foreigners, or for time's paw-like purposeful intent, how it moves discreetly, it inches forward without us noticing. Just as we are being distracted by wondrous sights and thoughts and idle talk, it pushes us firmly into timeless night and will not let us back. But that's stretching it. Instead, the thing itself, the fact remains vivid in my mind. It was surprising and exact. It left us all speechless, unsure if we would ever have the courage to tell our friends at home, in any detail, of the ingenious and effective scheme used to get us out of the White House on St. Patrick's Day 2010. St. Patrick's Day, if you were Irish, was a very good way in America of learning certain things about America, about Ireland, and about yourself. I came first to it in 1989, before all the trouble started, and it was just a simple thing. It was dreary Irishmen walking in a long line up Fifth Avenue, blocking the traffic with terrible suits on them that didn't really fit them, which, as you know, I'm pretty good at doing myself. And so, I mean, the main thing was just to look Irish and to look severe and to walk along. Your children were getting wasted elsewhere, but you were really following the green flag up Fifth Avenue, feeling, aren't we proud of ourselves? Haven't we made it? Isn't it great? And the problem I had was that you march, I didn't know this, but you march according to your county. And it's alphabetical. So at the top, the Grand Marshal, the whole business, and then you just go and, various places. And at the very end, of course, is where I'm from, is Wexford. W. And so as I was wandering down, I saw people I know from Longford. And they said, come with us. And I liked them and I thought that'd be good. But then I said, no, if Wexford people find out, they said, no, they're at the back and it's going to rain and they're going to get really wet. If you come with us, at least we're in the middle, it'll be dry for most of the walk and you're with friends and we won't tell. So I thought, great, but I thought this was great. I thought I had done something slightly wrong. But, since I was away from home, that no one would tell anyone back in Ireland that I left Wexford to get drowned on the way up Fifth Avenue. But the following years, things became very bitter in the St. Patrick's Day parade. And you learn something if you were gay, which was that you're not straight, that they don't like you and they don't want you. In other words, if you could just behave for one day. I don't mind what you all do at the weekend. What you queer people, you're queers, the whole lot of you. What you want to do at the weekend is fine with me, but on St. Patrick's Day, for one day of the year, would you not, all of you, just behave straight, try and behave normal, stop all that queer stuff. It's awful. It's bad enough in Ireland, but bring it over to America with you. And the Cardinal, oh my God, the Cardinal's in a terrible state. But queers want you to, why can't you be from Longford? You can be queer then later. But for that day, with the new people who just arrived in America were really tired of the Cardinal and really tired of being abused in Ireland, and we're certainly not going to have it in America. So what we wanted was to march as gay people on the parade. And they said, no, you can be Armagh if you want. You can move county, as I did, You can move county, but you can't just be gay. And so, it became this very bitter moment where one year, as we decided to march actually as gay people, sort of at the end, and the Cardinal and all these people turned their backs on us, which we hadn't come to America for that either, thanks very much, Cardinal, sausage-fed Cardinal. And so it became a very bitter time, and it gave me some idea, the whole idea that they wanted us to march so no one would know who was gay or straight. They wanted us to sort of fit in for the day. And I was writing this novel, which is called The Magician, which is about the life of Thomas Mann, the German novelist born in 1875. And the problem with him was, how do you let people know in a time before these words were available that you're gay? How do you send the message out? What do you do? The first thing I suppose he did that didn't help at all was he got married and had 6 children. That was not like that. If you're trying to write a novel and you've got a gay character and he's married, and then there's child 1, then he goes right down, over all the years, having another child, and you think. But the very nice thing about him, which his wife was very, very proud of, her father was a great philanderer. He was always going around with other women. And the great thing about Thomas Mann, from his wife's point of view, was that he didn't do that he didn't ever look at another woman. What he did instead was he would go to an event, say in Joe's Pub, and he'd go home in his diaries, and instead of writing a great event in Joe's Pub, lovely food, the fries were great, he would say, boy in 3rd row. I caught his eye for a moment. Oh, the gaze, oh, the wonder, oh, the dreams. So his diaries were filled with all his erotic life. He then wrote Death in Venice. And you think that would be a sign to everyone. Look, Death in Venice, elderly German writer goes to Venice, sits on the beach, and sees beautiful boy, stares at him, gazes at him all the time, and his life is transformed. People should have known Thomas Mann was in Venice the year before. He was with his wife, who wrote her memoirs later, saying, Tommy looked at that boy, all right. There was a boy, Tommy was looking at him. And in her memoir, she says that her uncle by marriage was absolutely enraged by the book Death in Venice. But that's not true. He was dead by the time that no one wanted to notice that Thomas Mann had written this gay novel. Because he was a really respectable German, he wore a 4-piece suit and he had, all these children, people just presumed he had made it all up. And Katja, his wife's grandmother, was the great German feminist. And she loved Death in Venice, and she loved the idea that her grandson, by marriage, was gay. She said there should be more and more and more gay men. There should be tax breaks. There should be everything should be done to make men gay, because the more gay men are, the more they leave women alone. And that will be wonderful for everybody. That's the great new world will be if this happens. And so Thomas Mann carried on. What he did was he weaponized his diaries, which is a great gay thing to do. If you want people to know you're gay, just write a diary, and they'll always come in and look at it and say, oh, I didn't know that. Is that where you went on Saturday after we saw you? I didn't know that about you. He put them in a safe, which is a great place for them because, of course, when he was out of Germany, the Nazis took over. And, of course, the first thing the Nazis are going to do when they come to your house, I'm not going to try in a Nazi accent, but is to say, what's in the safe? In other words, if you put them under the table, under the bed, just lying around, but in the safe. And so he wrote to his son to say, here is the code for the safe. Get out the diaries. Don't look at them, which, of course, is the best invitation you've ever got. I mean, God, look at what Daddy was up to. Look at what, oh, my God, look at you. Oh, my God, that was my birthday. Look what you were doing. Look what you were thinking of. The chauffeur was in charge of bringing them to the railway station to post them, if you don't mind. Like the post, yeah, that's the safest way to send them. And he was a Nazi, the chauffeur, so he told the Nazis, something funny in that parcel. The Nazis opened them and read them, but they were so unconvincing. They were so, they read like fiction, boy in third row, beautiful, I caught his gaze. Well, that's not Thomas Mann, but Thomas Mann was desperately trying to get the world to read him, and the world was failing to do so. In these diaries was an account of a holiday he took where they met a 17-year-old boy who he really liked, and he decided to bring him with him home to Munich. And he describes in his diaries the kiss, oh, the kiss, oh, the kiss. Later on in his diaries, when he was 75, he met a very fleshy Bavarian waiter, and he fell deeply in love with him. And his wife and his daughter organized meetings between him and the waiter just to cheer him up. That's what gay men need, to be cheered up, cheered up, cheered up. And he wrote in his diaries, for one sweet time with him, I would exchange world fame. That's in his diaries. And then, of course, he was dying and he realized the game was up. But no, it wasn't, because he in his will, he wrote diaries, all of them, to be published 35 years after my death. And then he crossed out 35, and he put 25. So after he died, there was a bombshell in a bank vault waiting for the world to read. His wife would still be alive, his children, and the world would get to know. Poor scholars were working away at this, straight man who wrote these beautiful little gay stories, just his fantasies, and their life was destroyed. They're in a state of misery still, or with the fact that Thomas Mann, the magician, actually came out 20 years after. Actually, he said 25, but they were published 20. 20 years after his death, he came out. He weaponized the diaries, and he was free. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.